that's something we, when I talk in the wine industry, we're always very passionate about the product, and we forget about what the consumers want, what is missing, what's the gap, what we can actually bring new for the consumers. But that's why the reason I want to talk to you guys, because I think we need to start to have this what consumers want.
We love the tradition, but not when it compromises allowing people or the gate to have potential wine drinkers enjoy wine or being exposed to it.
So we need to connect with the emotion, we need to connect with the authenticity, and that's something you guys doing so well. And then you're not just doing Instagram, you do YouTube, you're doing LinkedIn.
The videos, all the fun stuff we do, it doesn't matter if people don't love the wine. And they really do.
We wanted to make wine more accessible for more occasions to more people at a fair price. We say don't overthink it, just drink what you like.
So guys, thank you so much for accepting the invitation to be in this episode of Vino Visionaries. I'm very excited to talking about this amazing, authentic, and a very different story about cane wines. I think we all had this different idea what cane wines is about it, and I'm so excited to open people's minds and to see what we can do different on this space. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation. And yes, let's talk about Los Cuernos wine. So who you guys are and how the idea started about it and why. Tell me everything about it.
Awesome. Well, I'll start and I'll keep it brief. I'll give a little short kind of background on Zeke and I. And then, we're fortunate to have Gerardo, our winemaker, with us. So want to kind of jump into kind of where he comes into the picture too. So real quick, Zeke and I, we're wine guys, right? We met, almost 25 years ago in a fine dining restaurant in LA. Kind of, quickly dove into wine because we realized the more we knew about wine, the more money we made. We were servers at the time. Yeah. Long story short, had our, first opportunity to manage, we both became certified sommeliers. And then we had the opportunity to work in, different aspects of the wine industry. So not only in the restaurants, at different times, we each worked for some of the largest distributors and suppliers. After the restaurant. So kind of got a full scope of everything. But at the end of the day, we're wine lovers. And there was such an obvious gap in wherever we'd go to eat. If it wasn't a fancy place, that's a whole nother story. But even if it was just, a burger bar or a place to get a burrito, as wine guys, we're like, why do we have to be punished? Either there was no wine, or when there was, it was I don't want to digress this early. So anyway, it was an obvious gap. We're wine lovers and had the idea to make, a wine, specifically the concept of Los Cuernos over 12 years ago. That was about 4 years ago. We decided to put it in a can. But at the end of the day, we wanted to make a wine. We wanted to make wine more accessible for more occasions to more people at a fair price. And then I'll quick cut to Gerardo. And so after we had, or did you want to add something before I did that?
No, I think you covered it well.
Okay. So this was only early last year when we formed the company is wine nerdy as Zeke and I are. We are not winemakers. Are not.
Yes. I'm not a winemaker. I'm the sommelier side. I'm the service, restaurant, retailer, whatever that. But making wine, Gerardo, is other thing.
Right. Exactly. Which he'll probably mention it, but he's the opposite. He's as far as selling wine, it's foreign to him. But winemaking's foreign to us. So long story short, we had already honed in conceptually on making Petite Syrah driven blends out of Lodi. So we ended up reaching out to Gerardo, except it was a cold call. Long story short, I didn't even know I was speaking to him. And then we had hit it off, had this amazing conversation. And then, I found out it was him himself who owned and operated Lodi Crush. He also has, his own vineyards, award-winning wines, his own brand, just third generation farmer, winemaker, one of the first to put Petite Syrah on the ground in Lodi. So from going from a cold call, trying to find a winemaker, to make, to align with our concept, it was nothing short of a miracle. So we ended up talking to Gerardo, and Gerardo, you got to tell the story, or else they probably won't believe me. But
I want to ask you, Gerardo.
Yeah,
I'm just to say your name in Spanish. It just
I,
sounds
I
more
like I
natural.
like I like I like it how it sounds in Brazilian, actually. Gerardo, actually, with a little bit of Argentinian.
Yeah,
Gerardo.
Argentinian accent. So, what was your reaction when these two sommelier guys working on the fancy restaurants in California call you and it's like, do you know what? We just want to make a wine, and but it's a different type of food, like a different type of package. We just want to put in the
Yeah,
can. So, what your reaction was like? What did you
yeah, it
think
was.
about? What did cross your mind?
It really didn't. When I got the first phone call from Corey, right? He called me. He pitched me the idea, and the first reaction, and I think I heard it mentioned this before. It's like, who are these guys, right? I mean, like, wine in a can, seriously, and but it was interesting to me, like, I mean, I'm always been a visionary, so I always like to work with new techniques, new ideas, and when they pitched the idea to me, it was like, all right, well, let's talk, let's hear more about what your styles are, and when we met, literally, that phone call that Corey just said, um, the way that it ended was, I'll see you next week.
Oh,
So
wow.
like next week they were at my place, right? And we just, I mean, like, we just clicked. I mean, it was a cool project. I was interested on it. And the idea to me was, this is a challenge. I mean, this is going to be this is what I want. I want to get challenged. I want to, these guys know their wines. They knew exactly what they wanted on the can, and I like that. I wanted to have the challenge for myself and for, my techniques in winemaking. Um, and like Corey has mentioned earlier, the I'm good. I feel that I'm very comfortable making the wine. Sales, I suck at it, right? I cannot sell. Like, this is something that. So I was like, perfect team, right? They are the sales guys. I can make the wines that you guys want, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, the consumers want, because I guess you guys pretty much consumer mindset. You going from consumer to the product and not the opposite. Because I think that's something we, when I talk in the wine industry, we're always very passionate about the product, and we forget about what the consumers want. So what he missing? What's the gap? What we can actually bring new for the consumers, and that's why the reason I want to talk to you guys, because I think we need to start to have this what consumers want, like ask yourselves every day. And I guess for you as a challenger, as a winemaker, it's very cool because we have lots of winemakers probably don't want to be involved in projects. It's very different because they
Mhm.
think I don't know what's gonna be, or that's unknown space. It can be very challenging for some people, but it seems like for you it was like, yeah, let's do it. It's
Yeah, yeah. No, it
yeah.
was it was very fascinating project. I mean, I'm learning. We're learning. I feel, every day is a different um, learning episode in my profession, and the soon as we met with, I met with Corey and Seek. Literally, I started immersing myself to learn more about what is a canned wine, right? I mean, there's a lot of documentation out there, but there's nothing set in stone how it's supposed to be done, and through the process of creating Los Cuernos, I mean, we explore different techniques, we explore different packagings, and I think so far we've been very successful with the product, with the packaging, and just the image that the Los Cuernos has.
Yeah,
Where did you
I
get the
wanna.
information on the package? Like, because the packages probably was a big thing for you guys. Like, you need to get the right package. You need to get the right things. Like how was the process to actually find the proper can you want for your great wines?
This is a great question. So you mentioned like 2 minutes earlier, we started with the consumer. So even picking the wine styles, we picked a sparkling rosé, picked a Chardonnay, picked a red blend, and then even our reserve wine is like a high-end can. It's basically like a $45 bottle, right? So we wanted to make wines that people are currently drinking. So I think Sonoma-Cutrer, Dow, Prisoner, Decoy, these are fruit-forward California styles that people like. And so Gerardo kind of built towards that style. So back to the consumer about the can, back to that one right here. Some of the initial canned wines were good. Some of them, if they were in too small cans. So most wines by the glass is 6 ounces, but a 6-ounce can is like too little, and so it's weird. So we picked this one here because it just fit better in the can. It's basically a Red Bull can. It's an 8.4 ounce slim can. So when you hold it, it's not like the big soda can, which is 12 ounces, which is too much. So that's why I picked the can. And then for the sake of transparency, we knew we were going to put on the nutritional facts. We put on the fact that wine is low carb, low sugar naturally. Like we didn't make anything special, just wine is that way. That message has to get out more. And then more and more like this pushback against artificial sweeteners, and wine has no artificial sweeteners. And so we're just trying to like help wine a little bit by putting the good things on it. So I don't know, to answer the question about the packaging.
Yeah. And then I'll add a little bit. I'll add a little bit about the packaging, Priscilla, and then I'm gonna kind of transition this back to Gerardo for a second, because then we have to let him go, because we should have mentioned this at the beginning. The big caveat is Gerardo is in the middle of harvest right now. So he lives in Lodi. We live in San Diego. He was in town. We had a special event last night. He was in town for, and he's literally pulled over on the way back up to Lodi off of the side. But he's got a jam in a minute. So I'll say this: so on the packaging, you're right. The 8.4 ounce, it's the sweet spot. You know, in restaurants you see 6 traditional. Usually the amount that's poured. There's 9 ounce. Usually you have an option now. So that's right in the sweet spot. Now on our reserve wine, the Reserva, we told Gerardo, we're like, make the best canned wine ever. And so like, even though he's made, all these amazing wines for the Reserve, we gave him some love. So he's got a signature on there. He's got a little quote about, his, nature nurtures excellence. And his whole, he could tell you, but his mentor, he's super humble, but his mentor, it's all about low intervention, no intervention, makes the best wine, especially coming from a farmer, shouldn't be a surprise. But but with that being said, another thing about Gerardo is like, he's been doing this forever. He's third generation. His kind of family history, they're one of the first to put Petit Syrah on the ground in Lodi, and farmer by trade. He has his own wine brand, has his own vineyards, owns and operates Lodi Crush. But like he said, it was so different from anything else. So I don't want to embarrass Gerardo, but just a few days ago he was announced as one of Wine Enthusiast's top 40 tastemakers for 2000. Wow. So
thank you guys.
Like Zeke made the joke, like we always knew he made great wine and he was cool kind of before this, but now everybody knows.
Hey,
thank you.
I'll say quickly and pile it on. Like we knew the wines we wanted to make. I would say Corey and I have probably tried over 10,000 wines. Like I love wine. I love giving people a wine that I selected and I think they're gonna like it and I can see them enjoy it, even in a small restaurant or so. When he made the wines off of our notes, it was the moment of truth for the entire company. And I said a prayer to myself. and right away off the very first one, it exceeded my quality expectations and all the rest are really good. So that is why Los Cuernos works, because of he made great wine.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that, all the videos, all the fun stuff we do, it doesn't matter if people don't love the wine, and they really
Yeah.
do. So that's
We
what
need to go
Gerardo.
back. We need to go back to buy again because the product is great. If the product
Yeah.
is not great, then I'm gonna buy again. So it's
Right.
It's
We wouldn't be
getting
on here talking. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So
But
thank you.
Before Gerardo, I know Gerardo or Gerardo needs to go very soon. I just wanted to touch it very the point of not being vintage before he actually goes on this call. I just wanted to be very quickly before he actually leave us, and I just want to get all the information we
Okay.
can get from him.
Yeah.
So like these guys call you, it's like, all right, so we have this idea, we wanted to meet you, the winemaker, and then say like, yeah, interesting. Now we need to learn about how to do wine and to put in a different package. But the next actually idea was not making vintage wines. So
Correct.
like, how was that for you? Like you have your traditionals and you have your way to make wines for such a long time, and we know that is how the industry have been doing for so long time.
Right.
And
Well,
how was for you to change that? So many things coming your way, completely different of the norms, like
yeah. So when we
the
first met, right? I mean, yeah. So just to give you a little bit of how we decided to do the non-vintage, right? I mean, traditionally, like you had mentioned, it's every we do the wines, and we're already looking at the vintage. How is that vintage going to look? And then obviously it's going to go into a bottle eventually. Uh, when I talked to Zeke and Corey about it, the first thing that I asked them was, well, do we want to do an older vintage? What vintage do we want to do? In my cellar, I have multiple vintages, obviously, aging wines, and brainstorming the idea, they came back to me and they said, "How about if we do a non-vintage?" And to me, that was like, yeah. For
Well,
me, it's because then I have the resources and the tools to make all the quality wine that I want, right? I mean, I can play with multiple vintages, like I can play with the newer vintage which has high acids, younger wine, but then I can incorporate a older vintage that has been aging in oak for 2 years in a barrel maybe, and that's going to be a little bit more elegant wine, a little bit more settled oak. It's already been aging longer, so the softer tannins. So to me, that was like the great tool to create great wine. And that's to me that was a great tool as a winemaker, because then
yeah.
I'm not restricted to a vintage. So I can play with multiple vintages and create this blend or this wine and create great wine. That's basically it. And so, like, there's no rules, right, with Los Cuernos, so we can do
Yes.
whatever we want, right? So
and
that
it's,
was great when they decided to do a non-vintage wine, because to me that was a great asset for the brand.
so Gerardo made this choice with us. So Priscilla, we would love to to think that we had this perfectly planned from the beginning. We did not. We are learning as we go.
Right.
We make mistakes, but what Gerardo said is true. We didn't set out to make a non-vintage wine from the beginning. He said it. I mean, he just said it. We were literally going through the winemaking process, and when he was assessing fruit, and the fruit he was going to use when we were talking about vintage, he literally we stopped him. We were like, wait, hold on. You're telling us you can make a better wine for less money? And he said, yes, if we went non-vintage. So Zeke, I mean, I think we slept on it. We had we took 24 hours and it made the formal decision. But it was a collective decision as we were doing this. So pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I guess Japan has done that for a long time as well. It's like you just I don't know why we put that rules for reds and whites, and but champagne was a very good example. Then they just keep doing blends like no vintage blends for the whole time, and they
Yeah.
make a great wine. So I guess it's I guess we can, it's a new for reds and whites, but for champagne, for example, then they know that's
And
the
so
how it work. Yeah.
I hope this ages well, but you're going to be industry, we're going to be industry. In 3 to 5 years, you're going to see tons of wineries doing non-vintage. The big companies are going to copy this. It made better wine. Like, we're all wine people. We tried it. We were surprised too. And so this will be copied. Like, I don't think it just matters anymore to the younger consumers. They want something really quality, want a story, and the vintage appellation just makes it hard.
I wanted to get something for you guys to answer, because vintage can be complicated, because sometimes when you have like a score 95 you own 2014, and then when you come with 2015, people specifically wanted the 2014 and you don't have it to sell, and then the producers losing the sales, the distributor or the bottle shops or losing the sales as well, and the customer don't buy either. So everyone is actually, if you're looking on that perspective, the producer don't sell, the bottle shop don't sell, and the consumer don't have wine. So I don't think no one actually win on that game, because yeah, I work in the bottle shop face to face, and sometimes the customer wanted that specific one because was everyone is talking about it, but we don't sell. That's gone. They don't have it anymore, or it's not the that's not the actually vintage anymore, and we don't have it that in bottle shops. And because we don't have it that one, the customer just having that in the mind, it's very hard to get another one because they don't know how to taste like it. And I guess you just cut this complication when you just doing more. People know what they expected from your wine, because they're not necessarily, that's exactly what's not vintage is champagne doing anyway, because that's, they know what expected, right? So that's, you just make sure when they drink it, they're not going to be disappointed because the vintage was so different of
Yeah.
the vintage in the way. I think that's the point you want to bring to consumers. Yeah.
Yes, that
Nailed
is.
it.
And that's a perfectly example, Priscilla. The champagne is a great example. That's why they don't make. I mean, the majority of their great champagnes, they're non-vintage. They don't have no regulations of the vintage. They can just utilize multiple different vintages from in different styles, obviously. So that's a perfect example for Los Cuernos, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so far, like when it's the fruit to what did the guy said to you, what the actually the ones he wanted to give to the consumers, how you actually start with your project. You start to source the grapes from where it is actually you think it's going to be suitable for the target market. How was the process of the conversation to get from the idea to actually put in action, because that's very different. Like we have idea, now we need to making that became true. So how was the process before? I just want to take that just before you go, just to try to get maximum of questions I can make for you before I actually leave. And then I promise that to be my last one.
No, that's fine. The way when they presented it to me, it was like I said, it was a fascinating project, and when they mentioned the style that they wanted, I literally tasted through maybe a couple dozens of different wines that I already had in my cellar, aging, and that was the first exercise that I did, to come up with the wines that we have now in the can. I just tasted a lot of wines, different vintages. Initially, we didn't know what vintages we were going to do. So when they said there's no vintage, I was like, perfect, because now after tasting all those wines, I knew that there was wines just by, the different vintages. They were different, even though they were petite syrahs, but they were maybe, you know, uh, a vintage year was a little bit lighter than the 2022, for example, right? I mean, because of the mother nature, it was a drier year, and it gave you more deeper colors, more robust wine. So that was a great exercise, when I was putting the blends together, just to play with the multiple vintages and to come up with a blend that it was really going to represent exactly what we wanted on the can. These wines are wines that are ready to be drink. They've already been aging, especially like the red wines. The Reserva, I mean, we have wines that have been aging for 2 years in a barrel, so nice, very elegant, nice and robust wine, big, um, ripe fruit. So, I mean, these wines are ready to go. They've already been aged, and as soon as you open the can, it's going to be ready to go. Yeah.
Gerardo says it best. Gerardo says it best. He says the wines are properly aged and finished. And a lot of times when people see the can, they don't understand properly aged. They're like, wait, what? You age it in the can? I'm like, no. Properly aged, traditionally small French oak barriques, like traditional winemaking techniques.
Yes.
It's just what's presented to the consumer is in a portable single serve vessel.
Yeah. We just like getting people's reactions. There have been some good canned rosés and some good Chars. Most of the reds were like thin, and these ones drink like bold and big reds. And I love watching people drink these wines for the first time. It's an amazing reaction.
Gerardo, we should probably get you off to harvest now.
Yes, I have to go. Thank you, Priscilla. It was a pleasure meeting you. Yeah, and I'll see you guys.
We'll talk soon, Gerardo. We're staying on with you, Priscilla. We can't wait to talk more. So
don't talk bad about me. No.
All right, drive safe.
See you guys.
We need you.
Yeah.
See you. Bye-bye. Now come back to you guys. Now I want to talking about why, because you try to get more about what's the idea, how you make it, how the winemaking process, because I just want to make sure we get Gerardo to talk with us. But I wanted to know that feeling, because if you're working as in a restaurant, fancy restaurants, when have all these dinners, with expensive wine, it's all 750 ml. And then, I don't know, I think when you work in the wine industry, that's how I feel and I was feeling. We have this wine bubble where we think the wine needs to be this way, that way, you drink it this way. And then it's very hard for us to see new packages and accepting new packages. It's a whole industry. It's not easy. I get that, because I was like that as well. I wouldn't see, we have it. Everyone had that feeling, when something is new coming along in the market, everyone's like, what is that? It's natural, it's from human. So, but how it was the transformation, like to have this feeling of it, oh my God, cane wine. It's like, oh, that's actually a cool idea. Let's make actually good wine, great wines in the can. So how was the transformation? Because you guys from the wine bubble, how step out the wine bubble? How was the transformation? How was the process? Because it's something is very curious, because it's being in the wine industry. We know how it looks like it. So tell us the transformation pain. What's happened to you both to change the mindset?
Well, it didn't happen as easy as you would think. We initially wanted to do white blends and red blends around 2014, 15, 16. And then I was seeing this convergence of White Claw in 2016. You see High Noon, you see Liquid Death, and the way the consumer was changing. I told Corey, I said, hey, we should do those Cuernos in cans. And what did you say?
Oh, I said, hell no. No. I was selling like Celaya and Screaming Eagle and First Growths. right? And I was the most purest traditional kind of wine guy ever. But just had a conversation we just signed our first distributor here locally, and I was having a conversation with one of the guys, and he's a big wine guy, talking to like a very astute wine person.
He's a sales rep.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I said, hold on, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna rethink some things, or you could use the term like unlearn some things, because that's the process I went through. And don't want to get in the weeds on this, but so much of this industry is steeped in tradition, which is not inherently bad, right? I'm assuming you're the same way, Priscilla. We're wine lovers. We love the tradition. We love all of this stuff. But when you think about current state, and we think about the current day and innovation, I mean, this is 2024, right? You can get an amazing spirit based drink or a beer, any other category within the beverage alcohol space. You can get a great single serve portion, but not wine. So we love the tradition, but not when it compromises kind of allowing people, or the gate to to have potential wine drinkers enjoy wine, or being exposed to it. So long story short, it was a hard no for me, but then it became so obvious.
Yeah. His exact words were absolutely not. but like, when you think about it, is funny is how many small restaurants are in the United States. Pizzerias, taco shops, burger bars. Like, there's more Mexican restaurants than Starbucks in the United States. And in most of these restaurants, there's 4 brands. And these are economy brands. They're big brands in the US. I'm not making fun of them. But most wine drinkers do not want to drink these brands. And so it's going to be Sutter Home, Barefoot, Copa de Vino, and Woodbridge.
Yes.
And so when you're eating a $15 burger, you're eating a burrito for $17, or you're eating some really good counter service food, you look at those options and you're like, you know what? I'm going to take a beer. And it happens all the time. So this is why we're losing customers. So like this is, you can't get to the good bottles if you start off drinking really bad at the beginning. And that's what we're trying to fix.
Yeah. And when we were, when Zeke and I first met, before we were each married and had kids, we each have 3 daughters. Not sure how that all happened. Well, I'll leave that. I'll leave that alone. We love food. So, after we get off the restaurant, or we'd go eat, we love Mexican food. We love all this other food. And we just, like I was saying earlier, there just wasn't wine available at restaurants that don't have traditional wine programs. Right. So I think I'll give you an example of this, and it kind of ties into, how, I was able to rethink things, right? Because he first said, hey, Los Cuernos is going to go in a can. I'm like, oh, absolutely not. But then, kind of thinking back on just our journey, in our relationship with wine, so much of it was wrought with frustration because of what we've just been talking about, just the lack of availability of quality wine, kind of on the broader scope of the restaurant scene. And so what I realized that it was going to be able to do, it was going to be able to provide a solution for the counter service restaurants specifically. And it's not beholden just to them. It works amazing in all kinds of other concepts. But specifically for those, there's this one example of this ramen spot here in San Diego. And it's, one of the highest rated ramen spots in the country, actually. And it's just 10 minutes down the road. It's a very small concept, right? So a long line, always has a long line. He doesn't have, the owner happens to be a friend of mine. And in talking about this, he had amazing food, amazing beverage program, but no wine. And he was like, well, it's fussy. I don't have the room for glassware. It's a small concept thing. And you don't normally think wine with ramen. So long story short, he was open to kind of try it out, but what the single serve portable option does is provide a solution for places like his. So now he's like, it's one of our best accounts. He's reordered like, I don't know, 15 different times, and he apologizes almost every time we're back in there, all in good fun. But it's just it gives restaurants like that a wine solution that never before existed.
Yeah, and I get this pain as well because I have been on these places as well, and they have no wine options. I like it. Yes, I choose something else because if there is, I know I'm not going to like it. The wine is. I prefer to drink wine, but if I know I don't like the wine, so I'm not going to order because I'm not going to order something that I know I'm not going to not want to. I don't like to drink this.
Yeah.
And I have the same pains. It's just with different brands because I'm in Australia. But it is something is happening very often, and we know that something it's and I think in consumers as well is more about how much you drink it as well. I don't want to drink that like if I'm by myself or or I just have like you might I just want one glass of wine. I don't want to like the whole bottle, and then sometimes the wine glasses available, it's not the one you really going you want to. So it's a very limited options, and I think that's probably one of the things is where it's good, just because the single servers, it's just exactly the amount you want to. We don't want it to drink it heaps anymore. We change, your behaviors change, and I think it's we needed to I like how you explain about the traditional. By the way, I'm very inspired about your words and how you're respectful for the tradition, because I think we all are, all the
Yeah.
innovators, we actually have this respectful for the traditional in the wine industry. But we recognize we needed to think beyond that. We needed to go towards like consumers. And then we know the behaviors change. Consumers wanted to drink less. So consumers have like a single service. Consumers wanted to be able to, like enjoy, like, and then, beer is doing canned for such a long time, and gin doing the same now. And actually, gin tonic is everywhere, at least in Australia. RTD, it's become like the most crazy, everywhere in Australia and in the US as well. Everyone is drinking that because it's just easy to just, put in your, go to the beach, you're going to the park, you're going to the party. It's easier to go around as well. It's not just in the restaurant. The restaurant is a very good example. But if you think beyond restaurants, we have that as well. Like sometimes for travel, even like you travel with a bottle of like 750, and it's glass, can break it, can go into everything in your clothes, and then all these things we need to think about. So what's the next solution? What we can bring new? And I think that's what you guys had the opportunity as well to bring something innovative to the industry. And then I think what you guys wanted to make sure, it's because I think when they can started in the wine industry, they have this bad perception about quality. And I think that's is what your goal is, just to show you can make actually can wines, a great quality wines. Because I think that is something that's probably why the wine industry is pushing back. It's just because the beginning, you all remember this. I'm not talking anything new. I think even people listening this podcast, they know that, And then when they came to the wine industry, you remember, you try that. And then how was it taste like it?
It was sad. I was very sad.
Tasted like rotten eggs, most of them.
Yeah, it was not very nice. And I think that's probably why we need a different message. And that's probably why you guys try to bring over, just try to get actually great quality wines on the new different packages, because in the beginning it was not so great. Did you remember that? Did you try main often when it just started? Like when it just the first can came to the market?
Yeah, we tried it. We've tried a lot of them.
We have tons of them. If you can see our office on the other side of this camera, we have literally like, I don't know, probably 100 R&D cans.
To be totally honest, and I can't wait till the wine arrives over to you, or you try it over here. I would love you. You could even do it live. You'd be surprised on how it tastes. But that's what makes us happy, was to put one that is at a higher level, that you're right, in the beach, in the parks, even on the patio. Something we hear a lot is like couples will say, well, now I can drink a white and then they can drink a red. So you don't have to just open one bottle and I'm forced to drink what everyone else wants to drink. I didn't think about that. And then some people just don't want to open wine because they don't want to drink the whole bottle. And they're like, all right, now it's going to go bad. So the cans, you just open one. And we love to hear this because I think wine needs to stand up for itself as a great product and start pushing back this industry. Like
we're essentially set out. I mean, this may sound a little arrogant, I don't mean it to, but we're essentially set out to save the wine industry from itself. It's like we talked about the juice and how important that is, the product. Gerardo is amazing. Wine is a gift from God. We believe, and we also believe Gerardo is too. So the juice is one thing. It has to be amazing. It is. The form factor is also, we could talk about that forever. And we have for, largely the single serve, the 8.4 ounce and the fact it's portable. But, there's a few other things that we're doing differently. And like I said, we're just trying to rethink everything. And so one of the other things we're doing kind of has to do with, probably digital is probably the best way to put it, is how we, kind of present, this brand to the consumer. It's very, very important for us because it's such a new thing. And so it's really important that we show people the occasions, that we show, because it's so new. Everybody's so used to, I mean, I think Zeke mentioned it in, liquid death. I mean, heck, we drink water out of cans now. But, for some people, the mental barrier is so tough, that coupled with, likely, having some bad experiences with canned wine prior. So those are some barriers and challenges we deal with. And one of the ways we try to counter that is by displaying this. So, Gerardo is an unbelievable addition to our team. But, kind of equally and kind of on that same, token is our in-house media guys. Dune Media, they are unbelievable. I mean, you mentioned you had checked out some of our, our social media. So I just wanted to bring that up because it's something that we're very intentional about. We're trying. We don't know. We don't have the formula. We don't have but we're trying, and we're building this out loud, and kind of in front of everybody. And so, I just wanted to kind of give the Dune guys a huge shout out. Zach and Rio, their team is kind of meant the world to us and our brand, and with our ability to communicate to consumers what we're doing and how we're doing it, and just how to think about it.
Yeah, I'll give a little bit kind of inside stuff too. Since probably people want on the podcast, they want to hear some secret stuff, whatever. So I think two parts of
love it, secrets.
Is on LinkedIn, we're a beginning part of the industry, and we need to move past the original bad canned wine and talk about kind of the business case, how it's more efficient to distribute the wines out to more restaurants. Canned wines is less transport, it's a sustainability piece to it. And on Instagram, we want to show some of the use cases of how you can have the wine out in the wild, show people trying it. And then this is a real story. So wine changed my life. Like someone that grew up poor and being in the wine industry allows me to sit here. Same with the core, we love wine. and wine has been losing the last 10 years. There's a lot of noise about it. So it's a true story about people trying to bring more wine to more consumers, right? Not like trying to make as much money as possible. No, we want people to be able to have access to drink good wine because we're wine people. So I'm hoping that's what comes through. And then there's the part of the entrepreneur story of us building this thing from scratch and trying to do it, and here late nights and delivering cases and people telling us we're crazy is the other part. So I hope that people see it as a real, true story, and that they can connect with and get behind. And then if the wine continues to be awesome, it's going to work.
Yeah, and that's it. That's it. I think we just needed to show people that we can actually, we can bring you different stuff, and you can bring you different ideas, and we can bring different things. But your digital is particularly very different, because you guys, having fun doing this. It's not like a stressful desk working. Like, at least that's not what looks like for me. At least.
We need to show more of the stressful videos.
But it seems like it's more on the fun part to on the journey of the entrepreneur. The younger generation try to bring innovation, try to bring more option to the consumers, try to think about consumers more than ever. Try to see what they want, listen to them, bring different things. And I think that's the path we all needed to start to going with. Like, what's the next for consumers, what they like, what they've been doing, what they asked us to do for ages and we haven't done yet. I think that the gap, we need to fill it up. But the digital is something I think the wine industry still struggle to understand, and then be pretty much doing the same things still. Like, digital is not only means one thing, not just your Instagram, just a picture of your bottle. I guess when you're talking about how connecting with consumers, we need to connect with the emotion, we need to connect with the authenticity. And that's something you guys do so well. And then you're not just doing Instagram, you do YouTube, you're doing LinkedIn. It's like most of the business, wine business, don't really post anything on the LinkedIn at all. And that's how we met, And I guess it's something like we don't understand it, like LinkedIn help with consumers as well. We are consumers of the wine as well, like if the wine professional are consumers. And I think it's something lots of us don't understand that, or don't think it. Not understand. Sorry, that's I put my words wrong here. But it's they don't like think about it. Like, we all drink wines. Like, I drink wine. You guys drink wines.
Yeah.
You don't drink your wines all the time. You drink some other wines as well. We're consumers, wine consumers. And then so I felt very interesting. You just outside of the bottle, literally, you're thinking outside of the bottle, for your thoughts and actually on the next thing, and then how we can make this work, and then and I always see you guys, like your face there having fun. It's not all about a picture, a fake picture with the different things and the like AI phrasing on the top. It's much more you give me like your thoughts and your emotion and your story on the digital space. That's, I think that's connected with people, and that's how people know you guys. And I think you're doing a beautiful job in the digital space. And then you just told me that was no plan, you just go with the flow. I mean, it's awesome because we're just learning. I think the other thing is, I want to talk to you is like, I think we are, I feel like at least we are a very on an age in the wine industry where everything changes so much. Even if you have a plan, you're probably not going to follow the plan, just because what's today maybe it's not going to be tomorrow. You just need to be happy to adapt it as we go. With internet, social media, like one day we have Facebook, another day we have Instagram, another day we have LinkedIn. It's every day something new has come up. It's very hard to plan, have 5 years business plan these days. I don't know if you feel the same, because probably what you wrote in like 5 years ago is not suitable anymore now. I think that's why you say like I'm just going with the flow. I think it's just because we have to be like this. We don't know what's the answers. We're looking for the answers, I guess. That's why you feel like it. That's why you're making you go and doing and bringing your authenticity to the brand and your story. And that is why we're doing the digital. What's the plan for the digital? Do you have a plan?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're doing the plan, but like, yeah, in large part it's fluid. But I think to your point is it wasn't always that apparent to us, like the importance or the critical nature of digital, but it is now. And especially just where, I mean, how we're just so connected just as a society, you have to meet the consumer where they are. And so we've, I wouldn't say digital wasn't part of our strategy or, being intentional about it, but I would say that has risen as far as like a priority for us, and seeing the impact it has, seeing how, what it, the glimpse, what it shows the consumer, because most people they just want to grab a hold of something that's tangible, that's authentic. And you said it. So for us, it may look easy and fun, and in the large part it is. Like we absolutely have fun, but it's also sometimes it's a challenge. I'll just speak for myself. Sometimes it's a challenge for myself to not revert to how I was formally trained to like, or the pressure I put on myself to talk about wine, or the pressure I put on myself. And I'm just being very honest right now, right? And there's certain questions, you can relate, Priscilla. We've been on the floor before, right? As somms, and whether you're, whether as a buyer I'm tasting wine with, a vendor or a rep, whether I am, in my suit, table side, helping a guest select the wine, whether I'm with the distributor selling wine in, whatever the situation is, I was always, whether it was I was trained or I felt the pressure to ask certain questions, to, it's like, all the questions, about and all that stuff. But what we're doing, and this is what I love talking about now, it's like what we're doing, a lot of the questions that wine people are used to thinking they have to ask, or that they should. Number one, most of the time they don't even care. They don't even really care. If somebody was honest with themselves and they were literally, like, do you really care, like, what percentage of what varietals were in oak for how long? Does it matter? What, just drink the freaking wine, dude. Like, does it matter? But more importantly is that those questions, they're actually not relevant with how we are making wine. What I mean by that is, we're making a non-vintage wine. So even though, Gerardo was just on here earlier, right? And, we could get into the weeds very specifically about the juice that's in, let's just say, the Reserva can, right? Mm-hmm. Because we made it and we know what run it is. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because we're building to a consistent house style. So every single time, whether it's this year, next year, the following year, you're always going to know that Reserva is going to be that flavor profile. So gone are the times where it's like you should care about how much, or like all those little wine detail questions that a lot of people are used to asking. They're just not relevant with how we're making our wine. Yeah. So I feel like I'm rambling now. Does that make sense at all?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. And I love that, because I think that's pretty much my mindset before and after. I was talking about wine. Oh, this is X amount of Chardonnay, X amount of Pinot Noir, X amount. And at the end of the day, you ask consumers, it's like, I like, do you remember the grapes was that? No. What did you say?
Everybody talks about tech sheets or sales sheets, like the tech or the spec sheets for wines.
Yeah,
Who reads those? Who cares about those? Name me one
Yes.
consumer that does. Nobody does. Even buyers just throw them away and don't care.
It was grown at 12,000 elevation, hand harvested when the weather was 39 degrees. No, I think in all seriousness,
Malolactic fermentation. Like that
Yes.
was actually malolactic fermentation. Like I think like we're in the same page. I did an experience. I was working face to face on the champagne,
Okay.
and I have like a three different champagnes. One, I actually talking about the technical things like what the grape varieties, how they make it, how the Grand Cru produce, all the limestone, whatever. The other one actually grabbed like the story of the lady, making and fighting for the things because her husband died, blah blah blah. Like tell that whole story emotional. And I have another one when I was just very simple and say like flavor profiles, like oh this tasting strawberries, lemon, lime, whatever. I would just make like a profile. So I did like actually the example like these three, just different talk.
Sure.
And I just see like pay attention how they actually engage with every single story I was talking about the different things, and it is incredible when I'm talking about the woman, the die, and she need to be stronger, and that's happened to her, and then that was the challenge. The people, and it's like you're giving this, and then they actually was going around, and then people was talking, oh yeah, did you try that champagne? So that's just happened. This girl, that's what they have to say. She husband died, and everyone was talking that story on that one fair of champagne. And then they actually, one of my friends is like, oh, we actually had one guy was telling the same story you're telling me now. Upstairs. It's like that's very cool. So everyone was talking about this story of this lady of champagne, the husband died, and I just make this story very engaging. That's exactly what people remember. They didn't remember the aromas or the flavors that I told them. And they didn't remember all the details about the wines, where they come from, all the things, but they remember the lady, how she's suffering, how she's actually, it's a very cool, because that's what make me like, that's what people remember. That's what it's gonna talking about, because that's touch the heart, they touch the emotion. And then I think that's something we need to learn from the customers. We need to learn what they want, and that's what they wanted to learn. And they don't think, at the end of the day, they just want to taste good, awesome, taste great, awesome. That's it. I wanted to go into the beach. I want to go into the restaurant. I want to drink something. You can give me something like good. You're gonna like it. That's what they want to. We just complicate it too much, and that's what I'm passionate about. The brand you bring it over on the digital. You just don't complicate it. You just don't make things complicated. You just discomplicate things, and that's so cool. Yeah, congratulations for that. We need more people like you guys.
Thank you. We try. We say don't overthink it. Just drink what you like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I think everybody's intimidated by wine. I'm convinced. Everybody, even wine people, are intimidated by wine. I talk to wine professionals that I can smell it from a mile away. They're still like, it's this weird thing where they're still intimidated by it. And that's all we're trying to do is just break down all that. Like, nobody obsesses over other beverages like they do wine. So why, right?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Yeah, we see it when someone orders a beer, they're like IPA, hazy, Pilsner, they can pick. They're going to drink a cocktail, they pick. And they go and order wine, they're like, what food am I having? What do I got? And like, just drink the wine you like. And
Yeah.
our whole thing is now we want to make it easier. If there's a new person that wants to know wine, here, you can try a glass and a half, and it's going to be really good. This is what a good wine is going to taste like. And they get to do that. And that is actually kind of hard to do in a lot of places in the U.S. because it's those little plastic bottles, or the restaurants are serving house wine that's really bad. And so this is one of the ways to solve and get more people talking about drinking wine, is just letting them have access to better wines without having to study, without having to have a wine opener and a tool.
Yeah, that's amazing. But yeah, I think that's, for me, that's the strong point, is just breaking that perception. Can wines is not good, so you just bring great quality wines on the cans. I think that's great, amazing. Break these perceptions, like you have it to be complicated wines. No, we don't need to. So, we can be digital. Yeah, we can make fun doing this. Yes, we can. I think you just breaking all these rules. And I know for us, it being on the traditional being sommeliers, being, pretty much told ourselves in the wine, you need to be like this, we need to talk like this, we need to be like this or that. It's very hard for us to break all these rules to be able to listen to consumers and bring something new for them. And I would say you guys doing an awesome job. It's amazing how you're bringing these things actually in reality. I know it's a lot of challenges. It's going to be is innovate in any people working in innovation. The challenges are the challenges are very very hard, because it is I think. But I wanted to finish this podcast with my last questions. The three main I always make questions about the last 3 points. The 3 points why people should actually start to think different about the package. Why you guys think the future of the wine industry is the innovation side, the new innovative package, the sustainable package. Is why? Give me 3 main reasons you think the guys you really believe the future is actually relying us to be open-minded and then bringing new stuff to the wine industry.
Okay, I'll do one. I'll hand some to you. So
no, maybe you're doing 2 each.
Yeah, well, he's gonna take 2. So for sure, like, cans deliver a fresher and consistent product in restaurants and like small places. Like, I know now, I've been on the other, it makes total sense. And it's also easier to distribute and there's less waste. So to me, that is like one of just the biggest reasons that we can get better wine now to a lot more places by using a single serve can.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these are obvious. Like, it's not glass, so it's portable, so it can go anywhere, right? So think about like good, great wine now can go more places where wine previously has not been able to go. So whether you're like, we're already seeing, incredible success at golf courses, at outdoor venues, and those are formal, but even informally, like, the event Gerardo joined us for last night, we were at Balboa Park for this organic community kind of meetup event where it's called Vinyl, like vinyl. So there's guys that like spin records in Balboa Park, and just like hundreds of people just come and hang out and picnic. So, and they don't allow glass, nor would you want to bring any. So it's the portable piece. And then it's the waste also. It's the waste. It's the ability to, I don't know if it's kind of the same. I'm assuming it is internationally, but, at restaurants, when they're not, if they're not going through just an inordinate amount of wine, they're writing the dates on the label of when they opened it. They're, pumping it to try to save it. But if you think about it, you know, even restaurants, even
Oh, yes.
so
This is
silly.
true.
Even restaurants that are great, that have great wine programs, that sell a lot of wine. I'll go into, you know, a place and, you know, every single wine by the glass is opened and it's a crapshoot. So as a consumer, if I'm going to pay, you know, $18, $16 for a 6-ounce glass of wine, I already know it's a subpar product because the bottle is open. And as we know, wine is a living organism.
Yes.
So I know that's
Oh,
currently
yeah.
being oxidized. So it's not the optimal product. So why on God's green earth would I order that? So it's the fresh, the single serve. It's no waste. You're not writing the dates on the bottle or pumping. You
Yeah.
know it's going to be
Okay.
fresh every time.
Oh, you
Sorry.
got me so pumped up.
It's amazing. I love that.
When you're in an airport,
It's a pain.
Yeah.
you're in an airport and you get the wine. So this is the worst one. It's not totally bad. It's just kind of bad. And then what do you say? You drink it and you're like, oh man, this is not good. And then you go to tell them like, oh no, it's okay. And it creates a weird customer experience.
Yeah, I never
Yeah.
mention it.
But-
It's hard enough even mentioning when a wine's corked for people to deal with that.
How
So
often do you get a stale beer or a stale cocktail? You don't. So let's go to 3 things then. First and foremost, we're people that love wine, and we're making a wine that we would drink every day and give to people every day. So wine people. Secondly, the way that we're making this is consistent and fresh, right? And so like now you could kind of trust wine. And the third one, we've taken away all the rules. It's been around for 6,000 years, okay? When people first found it, they're like, oh my God, it's amazing. They didn't think 6,000 years later it would be only in fancy restaurants. It would be hard to buy good stuff and people would judge you. So that's it.
yeah, and there's
No rules. We made it a great package and we made great wine. So we made great wine. We put it in a package that's fresh and consistent, and we took away all the shame so you could enjoy wine too.
Yeah. I like that because I think I feel that what you say, like, it's not too good, it's not too bad. What is I do? Like, I should put in the glass, sit back, or I should just put on the glass, put on the bottle open, or I should just drink it. It just was such a weird.
Yeah, and I don't say anything because you don't want it to be weird, and it's like,
Would
what
you
are we doing?
do that with a food item? Like if you got a food item, you're like, hey, I feel like this sandwich meat's been open for like a day or two. They're like, nah, you just got to eat it.
No, that's a great point. Imagine if I go to a restaurant, you know, for lunch, and I order a burger, and I'm looking at the burger that's already cooked, and I'm like, oh, that's the one I have to order. It's like, when was that made?
Yeah.
Maybe this morning. I don't know. It's like, okay, fingers crossed.
It's because, no, honestly, Priscilla, wine had a great boom here in the United States. Basically from like 85 to like 2010, they were making so much money. They could charge whatever they want. They could do whatever they want. That's not happening anymore. And so if they don't change, they've already lost like Generation X and like half of the millennials. So there has to be some change in offering this. So I'll go one more. What if you got like a soda, right? And you're like, hey, my soda is kind of flat. It's been open a while. We accept that with wine all the time.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't accept that with soda. Like it's
The consumer's being duped.
they're being tricked. I want to do mention about Priscilla's podcast and how I saw it on LinkedIn. So
I love this.
So
Love this
you
story.
started posting when you were going to start. You said, I'm going to tell the future about the wine industry. And I was like, okay, she's kind of getting fired up. And then you were like waiting to do this launch. And I remember you launched some things, but you said with a passion, like, one, you really love wine. So I knew that your industry, you love wine. And two, you're like, we got to change. And I was like, okay, Corey and I keep getting yelled at by like really old wine people. Let's go find some young people that want to like get behind this and change. And I'm glad that you found a lot of success on LinkedIn and you're growing your platform, because this is what we need. We need energy and we need passion industry, and we want people to drink bottles. This is not bottles versus cans. Corey and I
Yes.
love Spanish, Italian, French, Australian, New Zealand, you name it.
Yeah.
We love wine. We love
Yeah.
Madeira. We love tequila. We love whiskey. We love
Oh,
coffee.
yeah.
Look at that.
Oh
Look
my
at this
God,
guy
that's
there.
very fancy. Oh
Double
my
mag.
So,
No problem with bottled wine here.
No problem. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
get it. And thank you so much for saying that, Zeki, yeah? No,
yeah,
eu
Zeke.
wanted to say your names in Spanish and in Portuguese accent. But yeah, so it's pretty good to say that. And I wanted just to make sure we actually finalize with that very thing. It's not about everyone's going to do can wines. It's not about everyone is going to do pouch wine, like wine in pouch. It's not everyone's going to do bottle. It's not everyone need to do the same thing. It's exactly the point. We just need to do different segments. It's not about it. Like forget about the bottles. We still have consumers love the bottles, and that's the bottle space for them as well. It's not about it to not doing what I have been doing for so many years. It's about to bring in new things. That's what we call innovation. We just bring new stuff, in new options, different segments. Have the option for people going to eat burgers and things like that. They have a great one so they can go with. If they don't have the glasses, like a glassware to serve the wine, so they can have like single service one, so they can just use it like as a normal, like you didn't do for a different beverage. So it's all about it to having more options for customers, to have a different segment, to just different target market. But it's not about it to everyone do the same thing because that's the new thing. It's not about that. And you say that very well. It's not about bottle versus can. It's can is there, bottle is there. It's nothing wrong with any of those. That's exactly their message. It's nothing wrong with canned wines. That's the message I wanted to finalize.
Yeah.
That it's amazing. We can make great wines. You can make fun doing this. We can actually have a different approach to customers. We can give you the options, and they have the opportunity to drink wines when they couldn't before. And that's the message I wanted to finalize. Either that's what you wanted to say. I just wanted to say, yes, I agree. I'm 100% with you.
Yes.
This is not a fight of traditional versus innovation. That is not a fight at all. There is space for everything.
Another thing, I'm glad Zeke brought up kind of what you're doing because it matters. It matters kind of with because this is new and I think people need to hear it from all kind of different kind of people that have different backgrounds and different channels and avenues. And it's one of the reasons that we also, we've talked about the wine, about Gerardo, about the form factor, kind of the route to market strategy and all this stuff. But there's another huge piece of our company that we hold very dearly. And it's community. And I don't want it to sound like kind of cliche or cheesy because that's not what it is. But community is so important to us. So I know your listeners are largely an international audience, but if you can just think locally with me for a minute, we're an emerging brand. We just launched last year. This is all just happening. I mean, sure, we're taking off, but we're still a small company, just signed our first distributor in our home market of San Diego. But right now, we're purposely only focused on San Diego and Silicon Valley, on 2 markets right now. Sure, we're going to expand sooner than later, but we have to do it at the right time. The reason we do that is because so we can fully engage with the community. So we partnered with the the women's professional soccer team here in San Diego, the San Diego Wave. We partnered in Northern California with the San Jose Earthquakes. We're the official canned wine at PayPal Park, up in wine country. But I say that because it's important for us, for Zeke and I in particular, to be there in the trenches with everybody because they need to see us, they need to hear us. Same with you. So kudos to what you're doing, and that the community piece is extremely important to us too.
Yeah, and I think you're in the right space though, because I work as on my mindset, we are all pieces of a large puzzle. I think we all need each other to be able to grow. What you know, what I know, what someone else know, it's all about it's all about it to make sure we collaborate. This in one industry, we don't want it to be on the competition, on the we want it to be collaborate. I think that's how we can make things better. Because if you just see, everyone have a different ideas, everyone have a different way to do things, everyone have it to, why you can't just collaborate and working together? They started to just try to, talking bad things about each other. I think that's the thing we guys doing very well. It's just like, it's a space for everyone to work. It's not about it, like cat this or cat that. We all wine professional. We all love wines, and that's it. The message is have space for everyone. We just need to collaborate each other and go together. But we can't just criticizing people's ideas or different ways to like, because we fight different segments and there is demand for that. We just need to accept that innovations, and then that's what the Vino Visionaries is about. And a big like visionary like you guys, to give a voice. To give a voice of say like, look, I make cane wines, I make great wines. You guys can go into burgers places and you can have a wine with that. You don't, if you like one, you can have one. You don't need to choose something else. So I think that's the message, and I think that is why I think you both is going to do it great, and from here to the future, because that's such a visionary way to see things. We need more innovation. We need more people think forward. We need to bring people together to be able to making that the beer industry we love be relevant again. And I think we can't do that. It's just one person doing that. We really need to work in community for help each other to grow. And I'm so glad you're working in a different space and you're working with this kind of a mindset, because you never be only you. You need people working with you to be able to making things happen in the wine industry. And that is why I just want to say thank you so much for taking your time with us today to share your knowledge about cane wines, to share your idea and your, like mainly your from your heart, how things coming through. Like you just is so like the pain for the consumers, and yours your pain as well, your frustration when you got places and didn't have wine to drink it. And that's just amazing, because I think that's what we wanted to bring over. When I want to bring over people, really try to help the industry to thrive again, because that's what we want to. We wanted to see the industry be relevant again, and then bring different things to be able to bring to the industry survive. Like it's the adaptable industry that's just going to be the next generation. So I'm so glad that I met you guys through internet and social media, and then you guys impressive what you do. Can't wait to actually taste the wines, because after this podcast, it just making curious. I wanted to try. But yeah, I just say yes. I really glad you have my heart, my big fan, whatever you need it, and the whole community of the wine industry probably gonna love this podcast for the message and the message you guys have. And then it's incredible. You both might say it's incredible. It's like such a good heart and open mindset. It's very good to hear that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and please hit us up when you're in California next. We'd love to, meet in person too for a cheers. So thank you so much, Priscilla.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. I love seeing the content. I think you're an up and coming star in the wine industry. Just keep chopping wood every day. We're rooting for you.